The walk-in that changed everything. Zane had always wanted adventure, but not like this. He was just a human boy from Earth who got lucky, a scholarship to the Intergalactic Academy, one of the top schools in the galaxy. The place was full of aliens, technology beyond imagination, and languages Zane could barely understand. But he liked it. It was exciting. At least until he got a new roommate. Her name was Lira. She was tall, graceful, and had glowing blue skin. Her eyes were silver and sharp, like they could see through lies. She didn't talk much. In fact, she hardly said anything at all the first few days. Zane thought maybe she didn't like humans, or maybe she just didn't like him. Still, he gave her space and kept to himself. That seemed to work. One evening, everything changed. Zane had just returned from class. The dorm was quiet. Lira wasn't around, or at least that's what he thought. He pulled off his shirt and turned toward the mirror. That's when the door opened. Lira stepped in. She froze. Her eyes widened. Not because he was shirtless, aliens didn't seem to care about that, but because of something on his back. "What is that?" she said in a low, sharp voice. Zane jumped and grabbed his shirt. "Knock next time." But she didn't move. She didn't even blink. Her silver eyes were locked on his back like she had seen a ghost. Zane looked in the mirror again, twisting, to see what she was staring at. There was a faint symbol, something like a circle with 3 sharp lines pointing inward. It had always been there, like a birthmark. He never thought much of it. "You're not supposed to have that," Lira whispered. Zane frowned. "What do you mean?" She took a step back like she was afraid of him. "That mark. It belongs to the sovereign line. It's the mark of command." "Sovereign? What?" "The rulers," she said. "The ancient bloodline. We were taught they all died centuries ago." Zane laughed a little. "Okay, now you're messing with me. It's just a birthmark. My mom said I was born with it." But Lira shook her head. "No, that mark cannot be born. It is placed. Chosen, protected." Zane stared at her, confused. "So what? You think I'm some kind of prince?" "Worse," she said. "I think you're a target." Her words chilled him. He suddenly felt cold, like the air had changed. "I don't understand," he said quietly. Lira stepped forward now, still watching him like he might explode. "That mark is ancient. It carries power control. My people were once made to follow anyone who had it. Even now, some of us still carry that code in our DNA. If you show that mark to the wrong person, they'll kneel or try to kill you." Zane blinked. This had to be a joke. Some alien version of a prank. "Why would anyone kill me over a stupid mark?" "Because the wars started because of that mark," Lira said. "Entire worlds burned. The sovereign line vanished. If you carry that mark, you carry their legacy. You could be the last one." Zane didn't know what to say. He turned and grabbed his hoodie, pulling it over his head. "I didn't ask for this," he mumbled. "No one ever does," she said, her voice strangely soft now. For the rest of the night, she said nothing. She just sat at her desk, watching him silently. Zane couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the look on her face, the shock, the fear. What did it mean? Why him? And if she was right, who else knew? The next morning, Lira was gone. No note, no message. Just silence. Zane stood in front of the mirror again, looking at the strange symbol on his back. It glowed faintly now. Had it always done that? Something had changed. He could feel it. The walk-in should have been a small accident, an awkward moment between roommates. But it wasn't. It was the beginning of something bigger, something he didn't understand. All he knew was this. His quiet life was over, and Lira. She had seen something no one else ever had. She wasn't just a roommate anymore. She was now the only one who knew his secret. And that made everything dangerous. He didn't know it yet, but the universe had just turned its eyes toward him. And it wouldn't blink not until it had taken everything asterisk the hidden truth in his DNA Zane didn't see. Lira the whole day. She didn't come back to the room after classes, didn't leave a message, and didn't answer his calls. At first, he thought maybe she was just avoiding him out of embarrassment. But something inside him said it was more than that. The look in her eyes last night was not embarrassment. It was fear and recognition. He spent the day distracted. He couldn't stop thinking about the strange mark on his back and what Lira had said. The sovereign line, the mark of command. Chosen, not born, none of it made sense. He was human. Just a regular guy. Or so he thought. That night, Zane returned to the dorm early. He sat in the dark waiting. At exactly midnight, the door opened and Lira walked in. Her clothes were wet. Her face was tight with tension. But she didn't say anything until she closed the door and locked it behind her. "I need to talk," she said finally. Zane sat up. Then talk. She didn't sit. She stood near the window, watching the stars. "That mark on your back is not just old. It's forbidden." Zane crossed his arms. "You said something about a bloodline." "Some rulers?" She nodded. "Long ago, there was a race known as the Vayari. They ruled entire systems. Their leaders bore the mark you have. It was coded into them, a biological key that gave them control over others. Their voice could shut down weapons. Their presence could turn enemies into allies. But they were wiped out, or so we believed. I'm not one of them," Zane said, shaking his head. "I was born on Earth. My parents are normal." "Maybe," she said, "but you're not." She walked over slowly, then pulled out a small scanner from her bag. "This is a genetic reader. It can't lie." Zane hesitated but finally rolled up his sleeve. She placed it against his arm. The device beeped. The screen flashed red, then purple, then gold. Lira sucked in a breath. "It's true. You carry Viari code. It's inside you." Zane stared at her, stunned. "But how?" "There were experiments," she said, "a long time ago. Some believed the bloodline could return. Maybe someone placed the gene in a human embryo. Maybe it woke up in you. Maybe you were never fully human to begin with." Zane stepped back. "Don't say that. I'm me. I'm just me." Lira lowered the scanner. "You don't have to believe it, but others will. And they won't care what you want." Zane felt like the air had grown heavy. "What happens now?" "Now?" Lira looked at the door. "Now we keep this quiet. If anyone finds out, they'll come for you." "Who?" "The collectors. The heirs of silence. Even some high councils. Everyone wants the mark either to use it or destroy it." Zane dropped onto his bed, holding his head. "I didn't ask for this." "I know," Lira said, "but I was trained for this. My people were once the sworn protectors of the Vayari. That command is still in my blood. When I saw your mark, I felt it. I had to obey." Zane looked at her. "You're saying you're bound to me?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, that's why I didn't report you. I couldn't." He stared at her, confused. "So now what? You're my bodyguard?" She didn't smile. "More like your shield. If you die, the mark dies. And with it, everything that once held balance in the galaxy." The room was silent for a long time. Zane finally whispered, "I still don't understand what this means." Lira turned. "To him, it means you're not safe anymore. And neither am I outside." A ship flew past the window. Normal sounds, normal lights. But Zane now knew nothing was normal anymore. He thought he was just another student on a planet full of aliens. But deep inside his blood was something ancient, something powerful, and something that others would kill for. Lyra's voice broke the silence again. "We need to leave the academy soon." I don't know how long we can hide you here." Zane looked down at his hand. It shook slightly. Not from fear, but from something else. A strange energy buzzed beneath his skin. "Can I do anything with it?" he asked. "Not yet," Lira said. "But if the Veari blood is truly waking up, you will." Zane looked up, his eyes sharper than before. The world had changed in one night. He wasn't ready, but he couldn't run. The truth was out now. The mark had spoken, and everything that followed would be because of it. Asterisk. Chased by those in power, Zane woke up to silence, but not the normal kind. This silence felt strange, too quiet, like something was waiting to happen. His room looked the same, but something in the air had changed. He turned toward Lyra's bed. Empty. She was gone again. But this time, her things were packed. On his desk was a note. Just one sentence, written in sharp, careful letters. "Do not go to class. They're coming." Zane's heart pounded. He didn't need to ask who they were. Lira had warned him. Others wanted the mark, some to control it, some to destroy it. And now they were close. He grabbed his bag, shoved in the scanner Lira used, and ran out the back exit of the dorm. The campus looked normal, students walking, flying machines buzzing, aliens laughing. But then he saw them. 3 figures in black armor, faces hidden behind mirrored masks. They moved without sound. One of them looked around, lifted a device, and scanned the air. Zane turned and slipped into a maintenance tunnel under the library. His hand shook. This wasn't just fear. His body felt hot, like the blood inside him was reacting to something. The mark on his back tingled like fire. Suddenly, a hand grabbed him from the shadows. Zane spun, ready to fight, but it was Lira. "You didn't listen," she said, her voice sharp but low. "You left without warning." He whispered, "What's happening?" They found out. "The Chancellor's private guards, they're here for you. We have to move now." She pulled him down a dark corridor. "There's a cargo transport leaving the planet in 2 hours. There's a cargo transport leaving the planet in 2 hours. We get on it, we disappear." They ran through forgotten tunnels, past machines older than Earth itself. As they moved, Zane noticed Lira watching him. Not just with fear, but with a kind of curiosity. "You're different," she said. "The mark isn't just there. It's active. Your body is changing." Zane was breathing hard. "I feel it. I don't know what's happening, but something inside me is waking up." Lira nodded. "And that's why they're scared." Suddenly, the ceiling above exploded. Dust rained down. A squad of armored soldiers dropped through. Lira threw herself in front of Zane, pulling a device from her belt. It flashed once, and the walls collapsed behind them, blocking the path. "Run!" she shouted. Zane didn't think. He ran. They made it to the lower docks just as a small cargo ship powered up. But more guards were waiting there too. Zane turned to run another way, then stopped. One of the guards raised his weapon. Time slowed. Zane felt something pulse inside him. His eyes locked on the guard. Without thinking, he raised his hand. A flash of light burst from his palm. The guard's weapon melted. The others stumbled back in shock. Lira stared at Zane. "You used the voice." Zane blinked. "What voice?" "That energy, it came from your DNA, a command field. Only Veari rulers could do that." Zane's hands shook. "I didn't mean to." "You'll learn to control it," she said, pulling him toward the ship. "If we live," they barely got inside. The ship lifted off just as alarms filled the station. Zane looked down through the window. Soldiers swarmed the docks. He was now a fugitive, but something had changed in him. He wasn't just running anymore. Wanted answers. Who created him? Why did he have the mark? And why did Lira risk her life to protect him? As the stars pulled into long trails, Zane sat in silence. Lira sat across from him, her body bruised but her eyes calm. "We're not safe. Yet," she said. "But you're stronger than you think. And the more they chase you, the more power inside you will rise." Zane leaned back, breathing deep. He was no longer just a student. He was something else, and now the galaxy knew it too. The Underground. Rebels, the cargo ship, drifted into deep space, far from the Academy, far from any star Zane had ever studied. It landed on a dark, hidden moon that didn't appear on official maps. The moment the ship touched down, Lira stood up without a word. Her expression was serious, but not afraid. It was the look of someone who had waited a long time for this exact moment. Zane followed her through the cold airlock and down a narrow tunnel carved into black stone. The deeper they went, the more he saw strange symbols on the walls, symbols that looked just like the mark on his back. He finally asked, "Where are we?" Lira looked back. "A sanctuary. For those who still believe in the old bloodlines." Zane's steps slowed. "You mean people know about the mark?" "Some do," she said. "And they've been waiting for someone like you for a very long time." At the tunnel's end, a heavy door opened. Inside was a large underground hall filled with alien beings of every shape and kind. But when Zane stepped inside, everything went silent. All eyes turned to him, some filled with wonder, others with doubt. One older alien with skin like cracked stone stepped forward. He bowed low. "The marked one has arrived." Zane shifted uncomfortably. "I'm not who you think I am." "No," the alien replied, "but your blood is, and that is enough." They brought Zane to a small chamber and scanned him again, this time with ancient machines that hummed with old power. Every test confirmed it. He carried the Vayari code. Not a copy, not a trick. The real thing. Lira sat beside him after the tests. "Do you believe it now?" Zane stared at his hands. "I don't know what to believe. I was just trying to survive. University, now I'm the heir to a broken empire." Before Lira could speak, the door opened. Another alien stepped in, a younger one, quiet, nervous. She bowed quickly. "There's been a breach. Someone among us is not who they say they are." The room filled with quiet tension. Lira stood up at once. "A spy?" "Yes," the girl whispered. "And they've been asking questions about the marked one." Zane felt cold. Even here, in the shadows, someone was after him. That night, the rebels held a secret meeting. Leaders argued. Some wanted to hide Zane deeper. Others wanted to train him as a symbol to rally broken worlds. But Zane wasn't thinking about leadership. He was thinking about survival. Later, as he walked the quiet halls alone, he saw a flash of movement. A figure ducked behind a wall. Zane followed, down an old passage, through rusted doors, and into a storage chamber where someone was pouring something into a food crate. The figure turned. Their eyes widened when they saw Zane. "Too late," Zane shouted. The spy ran. Zane gave chase. His body moved faster than it ever had. Stronger, smarter. He tackled the figure and held them down. Just as guards arrived, Lira reached them first. The spy hissed in anger. "You shouldn't exist. That mark will bring war again." But Zane didn't flinch. He stood, breathing hard, and said, "Then I'll decide what it brings this time." The rebels saw it. The power, the strength. Not just in his body, but in his voice. The stone-skinned leader nodded slowly. "You're not ready, but you're beginning to become who we need." Zane didn't know if that was good or bad. All he knew was that the galaxy had changed him, and he hadn't even begun to fight back yet. Learning the power inside him. Days that followed were unlike anything Zane had ever known. Gone were the lectures, the dorm rooms, and the quiet library walks. Now his mornings began with training, harsh, strange, exhausting training meant not for students, but for survivors. And maybe rulers. The underground rebels believed in him, or at least, they believed in the mark on his back. It was ancient, powerful, and full of meaning. But Zane? He still didn't believe in himself. Not fully. Not yet. Lira became his guide. She was no longer just a protector, she was his teacher. She knew how to move, how to fight, how to listen with more than just ears. She made him run blindfolded through tunnels, lift heavy alien tools using only willpower, and control strange lights that responded to emotion. The mark is not just on your skin, she told him one morning. It's in your blood, your breath, your thoughts. It changes how the universe reacts to you. Zane was starting to feel it. His senses were sharper, his reflexes quicker. Sometimes, when he was calm, he could hear things others couldn't, like whispers in metal or voices inside. Machines. Once, during a training session, a broken door opened just because he wanted it to. Still, the power scared him. What if I lose control? He asked Lira one night. She looked at him quietly. Then someone else will take that control from you. You don't have the choice to ignore what you are anymore. That hit hard. She was right. The galaxy wouldn't leave him alone just because he wanted peace. The mark had already made its decision. One evening, Zane sat in a quiet chamber meant for reflection. He thought about Earth, his home, his parents, his old life. Would they even recognize him now? Would they believe what he had become? He didn't have time to finish that thought. A loud boom echoed through the underground base. The lights flickered. Alarms began to scream. Zane and Lira rushed out. Rebels were running, grabbing weapons. An alien came sprinting past them, shouting, "The outer gate's been breached. They found us." Zane didn't wait. Something in him, something old and sharp, took over. He grabbed the nearest weapon and led a small group toward the lower levels. They found the enemy. Armored soldiers. Not many, but enough. The same kind Zane had seen back at the academy. Collectors. Trained killers. A fight broke out. Blasts of energy shook the halls. Smoke filled the air. Zane saw one rebel fall. Another screamed. Everything was chaos until Zane stepped into the middle of the battle. He raised both hands. Something inside him burned hot. He spoke just one word. He didn't even know what it meant. But the air changed. The enemy froze. Their weapons fell from their hands. Their bodies dropped to the floor, not dead, but asleep. Zane looked around. The rebels stared at him with wide eyes. Even Lira was speechless. "What did I do?" he asked. "You used the command pulse," she whispered. "The voice of the Vayari. It was buried deep in your DNA, but now it's waking up." Zane felt dizzy, like his own body had just revealed a secret he wasn't ready to hear. Back in the control room, the rebel leader approached him slowly. "You saved us, but you also lit a fire. Others will feel what you did. They'll come faster now." Zane nodded. "Let them. I'm not hiding anymore." Lira looked at him, proud but worried. "Then you need to be ready. The galaxy doesn't give second chances." And in that moment, Zane understood something he hadn't before. He wasn't just learning to use the power inside him. He was becoming the reason others would rise or fall. The betrayal before the Storm Trust was already hard to come by. But now, after the attack on the rebel base, it became a weapon sharper than any blade. Zane had stopped the enemy with a single word, a command that shouldn't have been possible from a human mouth. The rebels saw it. They felt it. They believed it. And that belief, for some, quickly turned into fear. Whispers started to spread. What if the Marked One can't control it? What if he turns on us? What if he becomes like the old rulers, the ones who brought war instead of peace? Zane heard none of it directly. but he could feel it in the way certain rebels stopped meeting his eyes, in the way conversations ended, when he entered a room, and in the way Lira never left his side, not for one moment. One night, the rebel leader pulled Zane into a quiet chamber. The lights were dim. The walls buzzed with old power. "There's something you need to know," the leader said. "Someone among us is still working for the enemy." Zane's eyes narrowed. "A spy?" The leader nodded. "They've sent information back to the Chancellor. He knows you're alive. And worse, he now believes you're activating. The next time he comes, he won't just send hunters. He'll come himself." Zane felt a chill crawl up his spine. Why would he care so much about me? "Because he was once the one meant to carry the mark," the leader said quietly. "But he wasn't chosen. You were." Before Zane could speak, Lira rushed in, out of breath. Her blade was drawn. "They're here," she said. "Not in ships." From inside, the base trembled. Lights flickered. Explosions echoed deep below. The traitor had acted. Panic spread. Rebels ran for weapons. Zane and Lira fought their way through chaos past burning corridors and collapsing walls. They reached the inner chamber where the ancient systems were kept. The same systems that held the base together. And there he was. The traitor. He was young, barely older than Zane. His face was calm, almost sad. "You weren't supposed to wake up," he said. "You weren't meant to carry it. You don't understand what that mark truly means." "I understand enough," Zane said. "No." The traitor whispered. "It's not power. It's a curse. The Veari brought order by force, peace through fear. That's what you're about to become." Zane stepped forward. "Then I'll be different," the traitor smiled. "That's what the last one said too." He pressed a button on his wrist. The core of the base began to overheat. Lira moved fast, taking him down in seconds, but it was too late. The system was collapsing. "We have to leave," she shouted. Zane stared at the core. "Wait, let me try something." He stepped forward, reached out, closed his eyes, and then he spoke. "Ah." Single phrase, not in English, not in any language he knew. It came from somewhere deep buried in his bones. The machines obeyed. The core cooled. The light turned green. The base stopped shaking. Silence returned. Lira looked at him in shock. "You just spoke to the system." "It listened," Zane said, voice quiet, "and it didn't hesitate. They captured the traitor. He didn't resist, only whispered again, 'It always starts like this.'" Zane didn't reply. That night, the rebels held a vote. Some wanted to move to a new base. Others said they should split. But one thing was clear: Zane was now more than just a symbol. He was the key to survival or destruction. Lira sat with him after everyone left. "You saved them again. But every time you use that voice, that power, something inside you changes." Zane nodded. "I feel it. It's like I'm losing part of the person I used to be." "Then hold on to the parts that matter," she said, "because the real war is coming." And they both knew what was once hidden would soon be dragged into the light. Asterisk. The marked one rises. The stars had never looked closer or more dangerous. The sky above the hidden moon was no longer safe. Ships moved in orbit. Scanners picked up encrypted signals. The Chancellor was coming, and this time he wasn't hiding behind soldiers or spies. He was bringing a fleet. The rebels had no choice. They couldn't run again. Not after what Zane had done. Not after what he had become. The halls of the base were quiet the night before the attack. Zane stood alone in the chamber where it had all started. The place where the scanners first told the truth about his DNA. His reflection stared back at him in the smooth metal wall, but it didn't feel like his own face anymore. He wasn't the same boy who came to the academy. He wasn't just human. Not anymore. Lira entered without a sound. She didn't need to speak. Her presence had become familiar, grounding. "They're ready," she said softly. Zane nodded. "So am I." When the Chancellor's fleet arrived, the sky turned black. Dozens of warships hovered in the air like a storm waiting to fall. The rebels stood firm in the valley. They were fewer, weaker, but this time they had something more than weapons. They had Zane. The Chancellor appeared, in a ship made of gold and steel. He walked down the ramp like a god, followed by elite guards. His face was calm, cold, and cruel. "So," he said, "you are the one who carries what should have been mine." Zane stepped forward. "I didn't ask for it, but I won't give it up." "You don't understand the weight of that mark," the Chancellor said. "It was meant to rule, meant to conquer, meant to decide who lives and who vanishes. Do you really think you can carry that burden without becoming what I am?" Zane didn't answer with words. He raised his hand. The mark on his back burned like fire, and a pulse of golden light exploded across the valley. Machines stopped. Weapons froze. Soldiers fell to their knees not because they were hurt, but because something in their code recognized him. The ancient bloodline had returned. The Chancellor roared in anger and charged, power surging through his own body. He had copied parts of the Veari code into himself long ago, hoping it would be enough. But it wasn't. His power was stolen. Zane's was real. The fight was brutal. Energy lit up the field. Blades clashed. Voices shouted. But Zane didn't fight like a conqueror. He fought like someone protecting something he couldn't lose. Lira fought by his side, taking wounds without hesitation. When she fell, Zane screamed and something inside him shattered open. He didn't just stop the Chancellor. He erased the code inside him. With one final command, spoken in the old language, Zane ended the bloodline's curse once and for all. The Chancellor collapsed, his stolen power gone, and the war ended in silence. Later, as dawn rose over the broken valley, the rebels gathered around Zane. They offered him leadership, glory, a throne built on the remains of 1,000 battles. But he refused. "I don't want to rule," he said. "I want to build." He chose freedom, and Lira, still alive, chose to walk beside him. Together, they left the battlefield, not as rulers, not as legends, but as two people who had seen power and chosen something greater.